one of the consequences of this democratization has been increased division between Shia and Sunni. In countries like Iraq and Pakistan, where when I lived in those countries, there was no question of who was a Shia and who was a Sunni, it was hardly mentioned. Can you explain that in the context of the Arab Spring?
Is this for me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think when you start the modern state, as we know it here in Europe, but think about 100 years ago, it is very normal that you have interest groups, you have parties, you struggle for power. When you struggle for power, you use an ideology or identity as the base for this struggle. When you are Shia, it's very easy to call upon other Shias to support you against somebody who is Sunni. It is not about Shiism or Sunnism, but it is about me and power. But if I want to go to the parliament or be the president or whatever, I need to have the votes, and I will turn to my friends, to my neighbors, to my fellows in religion or whatever identity related group you may define. So this is one of the very main reasons I believe these Shia-Sunni divide is widening. And of course, there are external actors to ignite this fire, because it is the old good model of divide and rule. If we want, from the very beginning, war against Iraq, many warned that this is a war to divide Iraq into 2-3 countries or 2-3 independent regions that would be easier to manage for international actors. And we have very signs to see outsiders, they put up this fire, I would say. So this is another explanation.
Can I add something? I think we have a perfect parallel in Europe. And I think I would go further. This tendency becomes so important when there is no security, because people then they need protection. And the perfect parallel we have happened in Europe not many decades ago, when suddenly the Yugoslav discovered that some of them were Muslims, and not only others were Christians, but some were Catholics and some were Orthodox. And you could fight the Catholic if you were an Orthodox, and this has to do with insecurity. I mean, it becomes much worse when it's not just lobbying your people in order to become president. But when people fear for their lives, you have easily a cycle of violence, and people protect themselves as much as possible by drawing on their kinship and then on their religious group or whatever. I think this is what's happening in Syria, for example. Now I could add something to what I said before. The huge wave of liberalization, the departure from the state socialist, developmentalist state in the Middle East, and this goes also for Iraq, not only for Syria and in Northern Africa, meant that the Ben Ali, Mubarak, Hafiz al-Assad, Bashar al-Assad, and Saddam Hussein, and all those people, they could not so easily deliver and rely on this one-party socialism. So they started using those networks of families, networks, religious networks, just as Tito, in fact, did in Yugoslavia, and in that way sold for the war that came later. Division.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I visited Iran 1971 with my family, and we went by car in July. It was very hot, so we went by car early in the morning, at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And what impressed us was that outside the mosques, it was not 3 or 4 persons, as it is in other churches. It was hundreds going into the mosque. And in Isfahan, I spoke with an Iranian professor about this difference between Sweden, Iranians, and Iran, religious. And he said, and the mullahs are preparing the revolution. That was 1971. And the mullahs are speaking in the mosque, it will be a revolution. So revolutionary religion in Iran, as I see it, follows each other.
Thank you very much.
We will remember that.
You agree?
Didn't everyone know that Mohammed was in Paris preparing the constitution?
It says 1971.
But he was in Paris in the 60s.
No, he was there only less than a year.
He was in Iraq, and the book about Islamic State was written in his teaching. It's 15 years.
He stayed in Paris for a few months.
And then after Saddam Hussein.
But anyway, that's what was underway in the 70s.
Yes, any further question? Further question? Okay, any further question? Okay, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, I thank you again for your participation, and we hope, as a matter of fact, to see you in the future in our seminars, and please admire yourself with
May I ask something? Why are there so few Swedes here? Is that also because your institute is so far away?
Should help us build something in Sergal's story.
I'm so sorry, and really,
But this would have been extremely interesting for a large audience of students.